Welcome to the EPG Pathshala program. Myself, Dr. Shubhabrata Datta, Professor and Head, Department of Social Work, Assam University, Silchar. In this session, we will discuss agro-based industry in India under the course Rural Development. Agriculture plays a pivotal role in the Indian economy as India's two-thirds rural economics dependent on the agriculture sector. According to National Account Statistics 2011, the output contributed by the agriculture was only 14.6%, whereas service sector contributed about 57.3%. It is evident that the output in agricultural sector has been decreased over decades, but at the same time, it has not led the same decrease in workforce dependent on agriculture. Agriculture and allied activities contributed to 14.6% of the GDP, but employed 51.76% of the workforce in 2009 and 10. Let me explain. Actually, agricultural production increases. It does not mean it has reduced, but the contribution to the GDP has been reduced because other sectors has been growing first. In other modules, I have discussed this issue. But the dependent on agriculture as an employment source are almost same since 1960s. It is little reduced, 51.76% likewise, but almost 50 plus is still remaining. So that is why if only agriculture as a source of employment is contributing to the huge population, there needs certain extra attention for that. The job opportunities have not been increased correspondingly as compared to the increase in GDP. Because what are the reasons behind that? Because low productivity in agricultural sector, most of the rural workforce look forward to diversify their occupation from their low productive agricultural sector to service sector. But as the most people in the rural area are unskilled, illiterate, it becomes impossible for them to engage formal organization. The 66th National Sample Survey Organization result shows that about 51% were self-employed, 33.5% were casual labor, and only 15.6% were regular wage but salaried employees. But it should be noted that most of the self-employed workers are those who migrate to urban area in order to supplement incomes from agriculture and back home. What are the meanings of that? That means the dependence on agriculture as a self-employed labor is huge. But the production did not increase that much. That means there is a gap, and that's why it is called the seasonal employment has been created by the agriculture. Now, agriculture and allied activities have great potential in the contribution of national development. Because of low productivity in agriculture sector, most of the rural workforce look forward to diversify their occupation from their low productive agriculture sector to service sectors. Because they are not getting return into that, they are basically trying to shift their employment sectors. Despite of increasing in adopting modern farming techniques, a vast number of farmers still dependent on conventional way of farming. Now that different innovations have come, agricultural institutes are there who are basically provided different kinds of technologies, inputs, high variety seeds for the increase of the production. But still, conventional way is much more acceptable by the major farmers. Development of agro-industries can have an important impact or answer on the local agricultural sector as well as the livelihood of smallholder farmers. The needs proper care and facilitation from the government so that the rural people in general and poor in particular would find a sustainable livelihood. That means direct agricultural production volume cannot provide the full seasonal employment. That's why agro-based industry can be the answer over there. And it is expected that the government will provide special attention for this. Now, basically, agro-based industry, how it going to take safe or as a concept and as a name. Agro-based industry can be seen as a combination of agriculture and industry. Both are there. Though agriculture and industry are viewed as two separate sectors in terms of their character and role of economic growth. Two are different. Agriculture is different, industry is different. Yet, agro-based industries need both agriculture development and industries which can make the agricultural output more profitable. Actually, agricultural production to be increased and industrial support is required so that agro-based industries can create it and agricultural output will be more profitable. Agro-based industries may be defined as those industries which are engaged in either a processing of products, of raw materials or manufacturing them to finished products on the basis of primary and secondary products of agriculture and the forest. Direct product, for example honey, directly connected from the forest. If we processed and make a particular product through a small industrial support, then it will be marketable products. Okay. Through the directly mango collections, if we can make some juice, so it is a finished product with small industrial support. So this is how the agro-based industry would function. These industrial units simply process the agricultural produce. They do not manufacture any new product. If there is a rice, they are only processing the rice to a finished product and completing in a bag system so that it can be sold out in the market. The bulkness of the produce is reduced. They simply process raw material so that it can be preserved or transported from one region to another region. Example is rice mills, dal mills, decorating units. The agro-processing industry can be classified based on raw materials or final product. What kind of things it is doing? These can be cereal-based industries, pulse-based industry, oilseed-based industry, fruit and vegetables-based industry, spices-based industry, dairy-based industry, floriculture-based industry, fisheries industry, livestock and poultry industry, medical herbs-based industry, cotton and jute-based industry, plantation and crops-based industry, likewise. So definitely these are the products are being produced by the agriculture and certain processing it is being made and offered into the market as a finished product or product for another raw materials. Agro-based industry is to influence the traditional production and distribution methods which are being replaced by more closely coordinated and better planned linkages between agro-business firms, farmers, retailers and other in the supplies chains. So it can be make a proper systematize, regularize of the system. Agriculture cannot provide sufficient and secure income due to low productivity. Generally, it has always been said in one particular plot of the land, 4 people are working and they are produce a particular products. But in that case, actually it is a 2 people if they are working and produce the product, then it could have been a full employment. But 4 people are working, that means it is becoming a semi-employment or sometimes for 6 months employment it is a seasonal employment. Hence, agro-based industry can complement the agricultural wages and can serve as a household risk reduction strategy by diversifying. Agro-based industry is indirectly associated with providing employment as it encourages other economic activities like commerce and retailing, construction, equipment manufacture, transport, logistic and trade. In a particular area, only tomatoes are being produced. If tomatoes are converted into sausages and that to be produced, that means number of retailing, construction, equipment, manufacture, transportation, logistic, trade, all are being involved, and automatically the number of job created in an indirect process. Increasing levels of female involvement, especially in the non-traditional high-value agro chains, that is horticulture, fruits, fish products, even sericulture, are there. Thus, it can resist rural to urban migration. First is that for seeking up employment, the migration from the rural to urban can be prevented. Improve the purchasing power of rural people through income generation. Automatically, if income rises, the purchase power of the rural people is also raised. As known that industrialization is closely related to urbanization, agro-based industry provide an equal distribution of industries, thus creating a scope for equal development in rural and urban areas. Urbanization concept is associated with the industrialization. So agro-based industry will provide opportunity to the rural to equally grown up as per urban system with rural facilities. So that is a win-win options are lying over here. Now women is very specific and target oriented for the agro-base. Why and how? In India, where almost half of the population is comprised of women, but their participation in economic development is perceived much lower as compared to male counterparts. Besides, women are deprived of equal wages, and men and women cannot participate in labor-intensive work, where actually it is a male domination, where there is a labor intention. Thus, agro-based industry can utilize these segments of population, just securing the livelihoods for households. Because agro-based industry's job mostly not so much labor intensive. However, it requires regular attention and a systematic contribution. Agro-based industries are comparatively easy to establish and provide income in the rural areas with less investment, by effective and efficient utilization of local and agricultural raw materials. Already in the introduction part we have told that it does not require huge investment. It requires simple technological based small industries that will not only manufacture, it will just transform the raw materials into a finished kind of products, like the rice mill, like dal mills, or like oil seeds likewise. Mechanization in agro-based industry would create employment avenues for the farmers in general and women in particular. Due to macroeconomic policies and partly because of lack of skills and education, women have resorted to informal survival strategies. Women at any level are trapped in socially encoded constructs called for women's primary location within the domestic sphere. Actually, it is our social attitude, it is our psychological system that women is basically to be confined into the periphery of the domestic course. Hence, this has become one of the very limited options for women to engage in home-based economic activities. So here actually women are getting a scope and opportunity to participate and to earn and become an earner of that. To meet the demands of present world, there is need for enhancing the existing skills, education of home-based women workers engaged in agro-based industries. So already they are efficient in the domestic core. They require certain skills, certain kind of education and they will be equally efficient for the agro-based industries. It needs to be understood that education, training and all other aspects which help a women in livelihood generation are their assets. But agro-based industries problems are huge. It will be useful, it is required, it will be helpful to even engage the women beyond the domestic core and to generate income. It will reduce the seasonal employment. It will reduce the partial or semi-partial employment. It will reduce the migration from the rural to urban. But this sector is very challenging. Why it is challenged? First one is the declining in crop production. It is depending on the crops, but if the crop production is declining, then it is very difficult. So agro-based industries are much dependent on the agricultural production, absence of which will directly influence the overall development of agro-based industries. In recent years, there has been declining in the production of major crops in India. Major crops total outcome production has been reduced in the last few years. There are various reasons of low production of crops. Why low production? Because the reasons are there. Like land holding is continuously being reduced for the agriculture. Other purposes actually land are being converted for the either housing, for the industry, business, roads, construction and others. Farmers in India are neglected to use high-yielding variety of seeds, which actually increase the production. Non-availability of manures, fertilizers, biocodes, absence of irrigation facilities. Specifically, the absence of irrigation facilities, 1/3 of the land in India cannot produce agricultural products. Lack of technology and machinery uses, and absence of adequate marketing and scarcity of capital, which ultimately hamper the agro-based industry in India. Specifically, if any products are coming out, sometimes it is not being sold or cannot be reached to the market because of adequate marketing strategy are in there. So, and ultimately scarcity of fund still is there. So this is basically becoming a challenge for the more production of the crops, and due to that it is a challenge for the agro-based industry. The another cause, unavailability of the infrastructural facility. Unavailability of infrastructure facility lead to underdeveloped of the agro-based industry in India. How it is in there? The problems which hinder the proper development of agro-based industry are mainly lack of proper road connectivity, electricity, transport, cold storage, capital, warehouses. All as an individual of the road connectivity or the electricity is there, in combination are in there. For example, if production are excess that reach to the proper road connectivity to go and for create an industry, that is absence here. Second, electricity. If there is a dal mill is there running by the power, out of 24 hours, 12 hours there is no power. So automatically is the meaning. There is no meaning of running the machines. Transport. Cold storage. If the huge mango production is there, the mango needs to be stored first and then to be brought to the agro-based industry. Absence of storage means wastage of the fruits. Capital and warehouses. It is already in there. Lack of access to credit. In spite of agricultural and food processing being part of the priority in leading area, actually government policies or even system does not much encourage the people to get credit and to start a business or to become a partner of the business or to become to be connected with such business. That is absentia, or either the complex system or it is a limited credit system. Unavailability of regular electricity generation. In rural belt electricity problem still there. Absence of cheap and easy transport services increases the cost of production of industrial products. If the production cost is less, but still carrying cost for the raw materials and sending the finished product, these two transportation cost is adding more cost to the products into the market. Then lack of requisite skills. The main asset of any enterprise is its manpower. If industries get right number and skilled manpower, the probability and productivity, the profitability and productivity enhance manifold. Ultimately, it depends how skilled manpower and the productions are coming out. Absence of training is an important bottleneck for the development of the agro-based industry. If we create for a juice industries from the transporting from the fruits, then it requires certain specific skills and efficient workers who can regularly make more production in an efficient way. That is missing. There is no proper guidance to the entrepreneur's development available. That is one of the criteria. Still exists. If someone wants to become entrepreneur, fails to get proper knowledge and expertise service and advice to get on. Agro-industries development needs the insistent role of various organizations through providing inputs and agricultural advice to farmers. They can undertake the activities which promote skill development on the rural people in general and farmers in particular in the areas such as processing of food products, beverages, food and fruit preservation, agricultural implements, pesticides formulations, etc. That needs, if we provide pesticides, when to provide it, so that the production cannot be affected. So these are the things to be provided. Lack of proper rural marketing of agro-based industries. Rural markets exist, but if there is a proper marketing absence here, so that the rural products cannot be sold into the rural market, then it is a missing link. Efficient marketing and rural credit system is of paramount importance. Agro-based industries have less market facility to sell their products. They cannot even make advertise because they don't have such finance for that. Only it is depending on the seller's capacity to sold. An efficient marketing system helps in the optimization of the resources use, output management, increase in farm incomes, widening of markets, growth of agro-based industry, addition to national income through value addition and employment creation. But advertisement system is absent here. A major share of agro-industrial output in developing countries is consumed domestically. Hence, export markets can provide further opportunity for an agro-industry expansion in developing countries. Specifically, agro-based industry has been sold in the Indian market itself. Why not to be make provision for the export, the volume to be increased? Lack of financial inclusion. Certain agro-based industry are capital intensive, but accessing the financial support is a major challenge to them. If in a particular farm, in a lower version, making the production and it is being sold out also. Options are there to grow and extend, but required financial support. Fail to get it or not properly provided. In rural India, a major portion of population are still don't access to any formal financial institutions. That means people and the banking system in the rural area did not still today have properly managed and trustworthy to each other. Taking credit from traders or other informal source with a high rate of interest is the only feasible option to them. Then if a person want to make certain business, option left to go to the person who can offer him money with a high rate of interest. Because banking system failed or not interested to be a customer for them. It can be easily understood that where most of the farmers in India cannot even avail credit for the farming activities, it is unimaginable that they access to credit for diversifying their economic activities to non-farm sectors. When I am failing to get loan or finance to produce the product, then again I require financial support for the agro-based farming. So that is why they will definitely not be interested. Local money lenders continue to provide credit to rural families as the reach of institutional agencies to weaker section has remained poor. Due to high rate of interest, repaying the loan, the poor farmers remain poor. Being high geographical disturbances and very less development industrial sector, the rural India has immense agricultural and horticultural resources that offer immense economic opportunity in agro-food processing and allied activities. Agro-based industries are dependent on most important assets, which is raw material. That means you have to have agricultural product. It is considered as the first requirement to develop an agro-based industry, but raw material cannot be available throughout the year. Already I said, because of the water supply for cultivation whole through the year, 1/3 of the land cannot be cultivated. So raw material are not properly available throughout the year. Sometimes farmers change the cropping pattern of the agricultural products, which makes the production difficult. Today they are producing something, next year they are changing the production pattern or system of the production or the type of productions. It is because in India a large number of farmers are deprived of proper irrigation facilities. This year they produce rice, next year they are producing wheat because last time they got the irrigation support, this time they are not getting. They mostly remain dependent on the monsoon, and failure of monsoon may hit the supply of raw materials. In India, 90% of our land is depending on the monsoon. So if monsoon hits or it is a heavy monsoon, both can hit our cropping pattern. To cope up with the changing pattern of cropping pattern of the farmers, the production unit may need to diversify to utilize the different crops to produce different products. So automatically we have to be aware and provide proper guidelines, support system, linkages, so that the farmers will be always in a streamline for their production and be comfortable with that. Now to the concluding part of the agro-based industrial system, being highly geopolitical disturbance, very less developed industrial sector. Agro-based industries will need increase the application of existing technologies and develop new ones which maximize the use of raw materials inputs. We require proper technological support, technological innovation, so that the raw materials will have a maximum outputs and it will be worked as a inputs too. Besides, there much information which is needed for their livelihood generation, like information related to availability of raw materials, market price of the product, and training. I am explaining that part. Where raw materials available? If I would like to start a agro-based industry, I am not a farmer, but I would like to start. So I have to be properly informed, or I have to properly information to where the products agro-based industry I am preparing, raw materials available, so that whole through the year my industry can run. So again, where these products will have a better market options, that to be understood. Third, what should be the market price? What should the maximum level that I can sold the product, because my transportation cost already I discussed, for carrying the raw materials and transport the products both way, manufacturing cost and other issues, wastage and others. Combination of the both, what should be the market price of the product, so that the profit can be earned and automatically the industries can grow on and run on the product. and require training. Time to time, the people working in the industry needs training so that the new kind of innovative machines and production process can be initiated. Promotional activities with the government departments will go a long way in attaining the certain agro-based industry. Government should initiate certain policies. If someone is created agro-based industry, will provide certain subsidized support. In certain sectors, like in West Bengal, the Malda region, lots of mangoes are there. If agro-based industry for the processing of the mangoes to a different kind of juice, jams and any other. So if can be initiated, supports can be provided, zone can be created, then it will be helpful. So such kind of policy issues have to be generated by the government. And at the end, if you would like to summarize, it would be there, the agro-based industry is very needed because agricultural cannot provide full employment as in sense, either it is seasonal, either it is a part-time. It can reduce from rural to urban migration. Agro-based industry will produce products in a very small manufacturing process, and that would be helpful to get in the market the finished products with a cheaper rate. And it will generate a huge employment sectors, and rural India will also get an opportunity to grow with the industrial pattern as urban grows. But for that, and even women can be one of the target for the skilled laborers into these sectors, so that women will have an earnings also. That means women can come out from the domestic core. It is also the social and economic, both sectors, rural India will develop. But government needs certain policies so that the challenges what it has faced by the agro industry can overcome and can be supportive. Thank you.